What's up YouTube, it's Ryan from AnnihilatorMTG here, and I'm back again with some more Modern. This week we're going to be playing a deck that has been a staple of the Modern format for ages, and that deck would be Burn. It was always my opinion that Burn was the deck that you had to be prepared to face at least a few times if you were going to attend a major tournament. So I figured it would be nice to test out the current meta against a Burn deck and see how it performs. An interesting reason one might run a Burn list in the current meta is the prevalence of 3 and 4 color strategies. A quick glance at MTG Goldfish will show us that within the last week, 4 out of the 8 most popular decks fall into this category. Those include Jund, Footfalls, Living End, and an Elemental Control pile. As you can imagine, a metagame littered with greedy mana bases is the perfect environment for Burn to thrive in. This seems self-evident given the fact that Burn also holds a position within the top 8 most popular decks. That isn't to say that Burn can only succeed within the scope of a well-placed meta call, far from it actually. As many of you know, Burn's greatest strength is its simplicity paired in tandem with its consistency. An alarming number of cards in this deck do basically the same thing. Take Lava Spike and Lightning Bolt, for example. Assuming there aren't any DRCs or Ragavans that need answering, both of these cards represent 3 damage to the face. That consistency also applies to our creatures as well. Both Monastery Swiftspear and Goblin Guide are wonderful forms of repeatable damage that, if left unchecked, will be an invaluable asset to our game plan. Finally, I believe that Burn has shockingly good sideboard options given its playstyle and mana base. Overcomplicating the sideboard process actively works against our game plan, but with that said, things like Rest in Peace, Sanctifier, and Roiling Vortex, to name a few, are absolutely incredible at dismantling their respective decks. This enables us to not only win the match via our normal methods, but also by making it impossible for our opponent to leverage theirs. It's been a hot minute since I've played Burn, so let's not waste any time here and head straight into the first match. Okay, looks like we found our opponent. Best of luck to you, my friend, and this hand looks decent. We need another land for sure, but so long as we draw one, we should be fine. They lead off with a Bauble, which they crack immediately, followed by an untapped Steam Vents. Then they play a Ragavan. That's one heck of a start. No land, so let's play and crack our fetch, grabbing a Sacred Foundry. Then we'll cast the Swiftspear, attacking straight away. They can't really afford to block, so that'll take them down to 17. Before anything else, they attack with a Ragavan. After damage, they play a Polluted Delta, then they cast an Unholy Heat targeting our creature. We draw Lightning Bolt. While we could redevelop our board, I think we'll just cast the Bolt to answer the Ragavan. In response, they crack their fetch for a basic island. Then we see a counter, fair enough, so their creature will survive. They attack us for 2 yet again, this time revealing a Searing Blaze. That won't be of much use to them. Instead, they cast an Expressive Iteration, followed by another Polluted Delta, which they crack for a basic, only to cast a Serum Visions. Drawing a land, excellent, let's play it. Then we'll cast a Goblin Guide, attacking them for 2 and revealing a Lightning Bolt. They're at 13. Then we'll follow that up with a Skewer the Critics, targeting their Ragavan. Up next, they cast a rather huge Murktide Regent. It's a 7/7. Wow, and they even cast a replacement Ragavan as well. This accelerates the race significantly, and I'm not exactly thrilled about that. We do draw Mountain, however. Let's play it. Then we'll cast a Lava Spike, finally suspending our Rift Bolt. Holding up Lightning Helix is probably safer, but assuming they don't hit anything good off the Ragavan, we should probably be able to survive the turn. During our end step, they bolt our Goblins, so there goes our blocker. Then they swing in with a team, taking us down to 3 and hitting a Boros Charm. Well, I guess that answers that question. So I feel like sideboarding in this game is going to help us out significantly. With that in mind, let's cut 2 copies of Skewer the Critics, a single Roiling Vortex, and 2 copies of Skullcrack. That way we can bring in a 3-2 split of Sanctifier and Rest in Peace. Looks good to me. This hand has a ton of potential, but if we don't get a second land, this is going to go very poorly. Because of the deck we're playing, keeping a 1-lander seems more reasonable than not, so let's do it. To start things off, we'll play and crack an Arid Mesa, grabbing a Sacred Foundry, then we'll cast our creature, attacking them straight away. They're at 19, and we'll send it back. To no one's surprise, they play and crack a Mishra's Bauble, followed by a Polluted Delta, which they crack as well, grabbing a Steam Vents. Here comes an Unholy Heat. Honestly, I'm entirely okay with this. We untap and draw an Inspiring Vantage, wonderful. Let's play it. Now we'll be able to cast a relatively risk-free copy of Rest in Peace. The spell resolves, which exiles everything. They play a basic island and then cast a DRC. That appears to be it. As if things couldn't get any better, we draw a Sanctifier. Definitely gonna cast that one. So now, unless they have some creative sideboard cards, I can't see them going very far in this game. Before their next turn, they cast a Thought Scour. Then they untap and cast an Expressive Iteration, followed by a Scalding Tarn, which they crack for another island. Then we see a Mishra's Mishra's Bauble into a Serum Visions, drawing another Searing Blaze. This is more of a mid-rangey move than anything else, but we'll cast it, targeting their DRC. In response, they crack their Bauble, then we'll swing in for 2. That takes them down to 12, keeping things interesting as they dash out a Ragavan, exiling an Eidolon and casting a Serum Visions. They play a basic island and return their creature to hand. Coincidentally, we draw an Eidolon as well. Kinda weird, but that's fine. Might as well cast it. Then we'll attack with our Sanctifier. Before damage, they cast an Unholy Heat, targeting our Eidolon. Fair enough. With the damage going through, that brings them down to 8. Second verse, same as the first, as they dash out their Ragavan, this time hitting a Goblin, which they cast without hesitation. We draw a Boros Charm. We'll start things off with an attack. They're at a crucial 6. Let's cast Lava Spike number 1. That'll get countered by a Flusterstorm. Then we'll cast Lava Spike number 2. This one resolves, and that's all we got. As is tradition, they dash out their Ragavan, attacking with both it and the Goblin. I don't expect that Boros Charm to be of much use. They seem to agree, as they cast an Expressive Iteration. Drawing a Searing Blaze, let's attack with our Sanctifier. They're at 1. Then we'll cast a Lightning Helix, which unfortunately won't be resolving thanks to their Spell Pierce. Our opponent has a chance here. Not so sure they have enough red sources to make it happen, though. Here comes the Ragavan, as they attack us for 4. Thankfully, they hit another Goblin, casting a Desperation Thought Scour, and they scoop it up. Nice. Can't really say we want to change anything, so I think we'll just try it again. Alright, we've got 0 complaints about this hand, keeping this one every time. To get things rolling, they play and crack a Mishra's Bauble, followed by a basic island, and casting a Serum Visions. Wow, when we draw a Rest in Peace, getting really lucky in this game. Let's play and crack an Arid Mesa, grabbing a basic mountain and casting our creature. Then we'll swing in for 1, taking them down to 19. Up next, they play and crack a Misty Rainforest, grabbing an untapped Steam Vents, only to dash out a copy of Ragavan, attacking us for 2. They exile a Searing Blaze, although thankfully they won't be able to cast it. Drawing another Horizon land, let's play one of them. Then we'll cast the Rest in Peace. In response, they Lightning Bolt our creature. I'll take that trade any day. As the spell resolves, everything gets exiled. On their turn, they play an Expressive Iteration, followed by a Mishra's Bauble. That appears to be it. No way, we draw Sanctifier again. This is just like last time. So I guess we'll play Horizon Land number 2 and then cast the Sanctifier, all the while holding up our Lightning Bolt. Interesting, they cast an Engineered Explosives. Now, normally this would be a horrifying state of affairs, but Boros Charm makes the explosives almost irrelevant. With that in mind, we'll cast our Lightning Bolt on their end step. Then we draw another Sanctifier. Let's swing in for 2, casting our Skewer the Critics and bringing them down to 8 life. Let's see if they go for it. They untap and cast a Thought Scour. This is likely an indicator that they have another land. Ooh, but they just cast a copy of Ragavan instead? That is not what I expected. Either way, let's take the opportunity to offensively cast a Boros Charm. They're at 4, drawing our third Sanctifier. That's hilarious. Let's swing in. Then we'll cast our second Boros Charm. And that'll do it. GG's, opponent. Alrighty, looks like we found our opponent. Best of luck to you, my friend, and this hand looks good enough. They get things started with a basic mountain and not much else. We draw another Goblin, let's follow in kind, then we'll cast one of them. Attacking for 2 and revealing a Matron, that takes them down to 18. They play another mountain and cast a Crater Maker. That's an interesting card, but it shouldn't be an issue. Drawing a Rift Bolt, time for the second Goblin, then we'll cast Lightning Bolt, hitting their Crater Maker. Now we'll swing in for 4, revealing a copy of Tarfire. They're at 14 life. Up next, they untap and play a basic Swamp, casting the Matron that we saw earlier, and tutoring for a Sling Gang Lieutenant. That's going to slow us down considerably. We draw a Swiftspear, let's attack for 4, revealing another Matron. They choose not to block. I guess at this point, we're just going to hold up Skullcrack for the inevitable life gain. Here comes Swamp number 2, followed by their Sling Gang Lieutenant. That'll generate them some tokens. This might be a bit hasty, but let's cast our Skullcrack now. Perhaps this might goad them into sacking their Goblins preemptively. Apparently not, they're at 7. There's a Searing Blaze, we'll attack once again, revealing a Ringleader. They double block one of the Goblins, then single block the other. Before damage, let's cast Searing Blaze on their Lieutenant. They respond by sacking one of the Goblins, then the Lieutenant itself. That'll take them down to 8 and kill one of our creatures. Continuing to fight the good fight as they play another Swamp and cast a Ringleader. Not getting much as they pass immediately. We draw Sacred Foundry, excellent. Let's play it. it. Now we can cast our dude, attacking with a team, trading goblins, they're at 7. While we could cast Boros Charm, I think we'll just suspend a Riftbolt, then play Skewer the Critics. In response, they take out our creature with a Tarfire, then our spell resolves. Here's Swamp number 4, followed by a Matron, grabbing a cost reducer, which they play straight away. That'll enable them to play a Mogwar Marshal. They get a token, then attack us for 1, we're at 15. Alright, moment of truth. Riftbolt will come off suspend, taking them down to 1. We draw Mountain, let's jam it, then we'll cast our Boros Charm, and that'll do it. Nice. Sideboarding in this matchup can go one of two ways. We could make a few cuts or several depending on how we feel. Since we won the first game, I'm more inclined to go with the former, so let's cut the 2 copies of Skullcrack and the single Roiling Vortex. That way we can bring in our 3 Sanctifiers. Looks good to me. Hard to argue with a hand like this. It's a little painful, but outside of that, it seems really good. They get things rolling with a tapped Rakdos land. We draw Riftbolt, not bad. Let's play a Horizon land, then we'll suspend it. They untap, play a mountain, and nothing else. That's surprising. Riftbolt comes off suspend, taking them down to 17. Drawing a Skewer the Critics. We could play that, but getting an early Eidolon seems way better. Let's do it. Oddly enough, they decide to cast a Munitions Expert after the fact. This won't be able to kill our creature, so they're just taking needless damage. Right on time, as they play another land, then cast a Goblin Grenade, sacking the Munitions Expert in the process, and targeting our Eidolon. That takes them down to 13, good enough for me. We draw Fetch, let's play it. Then we'll cast our replacement Eidolon and send it back. They untap and jam a Matron, finding a Tarfire. These Eidolons are tearing them apart. During their end step, we'll crack our Fetch and grab a Mountain, then cast the Lightning Bolt. They're at 8 and we're at 12. Drawing a Riftbolt, let's attack immediately. They block, as expected. Afterwards, we'll cast another Eidolon. Before that resolves, they attempt to Tarfire the existing copy. That takes them down to 6 life. Let's suspend our Riftbolt and see what they got. Then they untap and scoop it up. GG's opponent. Alrighty, looks like we found our opponent. Best of luck to you, my friend. And this hand is a bit of a toss-up. If we get another land, it'll be truly excellent, but I don't really want to risk it, so let's try again. This hand is significantly better. We'll keep and ship the Searing Blaze. Let's lead off with a basic Mountain, then cast our Goblin, attacking them for 2 and revealing an Arid Mesa. They're at 18. They get things rolling with a Scalding Tarn, which they crack immediately, finding themselves a Stomping Ground. Then they cast a Harbinger, so I guess we're playing against elementals. As the spell resolves, they tutor for an Omnath. We draw Boros Charm, let's play our Horizon land, then we'll swing in for 2, revealing the Omnath that was already there. They block with their Harbinger. After combat, we'll cast our Eidolon. This will disincentivize them from casting low CMC spells, while also giving us another 2 damage per attack. On their turn, they play the Arid Mesa that we saw earlier. That appears to be it. Drawing a Searing Blaze, let's swing in with a team, revealing a Harbinger. Before damage, they evoke a Solitude. That'll exile our Eidolon. Then they go down to 13 life. During our second main phase, we'll cast a Skewer the Critics, then suspend the Riftbolt. Luckily for us, their fetching and overall painful mana base gives us a massive advantage. Speaking of which, they crack their Arid Mesa and find a Steam Vents. Then they jam a Plains, followed by a copy of Risen Reef. That's hardly an issue. On our upkeep, the Riftbolt comes off suspend, taking them down to 6 life. Then we draw a Mountain, might as well play it. There is a line where we could win this turn. All we'd have to do is attack, remain unblocked, and then cast the Boros Charm, but truth be told, I can't expect them to make that severe of a mistake, so what we'll do is cast our Searing Blaze, targeting their Risen Reef. That brings them down to 3. This enables a free attack with our Goblin, revealing a Cavern of Souls. They're at 1. Up next, they play the Cavern, then cast their Omnath, netting them a card. We draw a land, let's play it, then we'll cast the Charm, and that'll do it. Nice. This matchup is unique in the sense that they have cards that can absolutely ruin our day, while at the same time having a mana base that more or less does our job for us. With that in mind, I think we'll cut 2 copies of Lightning Helix, that way we can bring in 2 more copies of Roiling Vortex. I don't expect these changes to matter all that much, but let's see what happens. This is another one of those hands that could be really powerful if we get a second land, but that isn't a guarantee. With that in mind, we'd be stupid not to try, so let's go for it. After resolving mulligans, they play an untapped Temple Garden and cast a Grazer. That's surprising. Is this normal for elementals? I knew they played Utopia Sprawl, but I only recall seeing Grazer and Amulet Titan. Either way, they play an extra land. We draw Lava Spike. Because of the Grazer, we're more or less forced into just playing an Inspiring Vantage and setting up the Riftbolt. On their turn, they play a Cavern of Souls, naming elementals, then they add their companion to hand. Riftbolt will come off Suspend, targeting their Grazer. Then we draw Sacred Foundry. Excellent. Let's play it. This will allow us to cast running copies of Goblin Guide. We'll swing in for 4, revealing another Grazer and taking their life total down to 14. They play the aforementioned Grazer and nothing else, not even a land. Speaking of which, we draw one. Let's play it. Then we'll attack with the team, revealing a Solitude. Only 2 damage is able to get through. Since we saw the Solitude, I think this warrants setting up a Roiling Vortex just in case. The Vortex will take them down to 11 on their upkeep. Then they cast their Companion, which powers up their Grazer, attacking us for 1, and that's about it. The Vortex will do the same. Drawing a land, let's play it. Then we'll attack with our Goblins, revealing a Voice of Resurgence. Love that card. 2 damage will make it through, after which we can cast our Eidolon. This is probably out of order, but if they have a Force of Negation for our Lava Spikes, the Eidolon will punish them regardless. It resolves, then we'll cast a Lava Spike. They're at 6 and we're at 14. Then down to 5 from the Vortex. Here comes a Voice of Resurgence. That's totally fine. Alright, let's see if we got this. Our Vortex takes us to 13. Then we draw Boros Charm. We'll start with a Lava Spike, and they scoop it up. GG's. And there you have it. If nothing else, Burn really is consistent. While it might not be my favorite deck of all time, I really respect just how good it can be. And you almost have to, because if you're not playing it, you'll surely be seeing it across the table every now and again. Some of my fondest tournament memories are against Burn players. For instance, one time I got a clutch win by using a Liliana Edict on myself to sack my newly played Kitchen Finks. I already had other creatures on the board, so this extra life gain was just the thing I needed to get myself out of range of the hellbent Burn player. It was really awesome. If you like my content, feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and hit the bell icon. This stuff really does help, so thank you. And as always, stay safe out there and have a good one.